Sugar. Many are stating it affects the brain in the same way as
Sugar can induce reward in humans that's comparable to addictive drugs.
there has been evidence that sugar is connected to.
The concept of hidden sugars is so important in preventing obesity.
Is sugar really the devil we make it out to be, or are we all confused? Is there such a thing as good sugar? No, not really. A lot of people think that if sugar comes from fruit, like in a morning smoothie, it's somehow better than the sugar in a piece of cake. But that's a myth. People often compare the two, saying, my fruit smoothie is good for me, but that chocolate cake is bad. The truth is, it's all the same molecules. Whether it's in your smoothie or your cake, it's sucrose. Plain and simple. Your body doesn't know the difference between the sugar from fruit and the sugar from a cake. Even things like honey, agave, and maple syrup, which are marketed as healthier options, are still just sugar at the molecular level. So, my advice, eat the sugar you enjoy. Don't trick yourself into thinking one type is better for you than another. Treat all sugar as a dessert. Yes, that fruit smoothie? It's dessert too. Just because it comes from fruit doesn't make it healthier than a slice of cake. Sugar is not the enemy, but it is causing our hormones to go haywire when we consume too much. Our hormones signal the body to store fat, raise insulin, and sugar is addictive, so it causes cravings, and then we want to eat more of it. Today we are going to talk about what sugar is doing to our bodies, and what we can do to take back control while still enjoying all the tasty treats. No one wants to feel denied the pleasure of great food, so let's jump into it. Listen through to the end so you get all 4 tips to hacking your sugar levels. So why do we crave sugar? It goes like this. If you have a carrot cake now, there's a good chance you'll want another piece by dinner. Then, the next day, you'll probably be craving carrot cake again. If you look at a whole year, you can see these patterns where you go a few months without it, and then suddenly, you'll have a week or two where you just can't stop yourself from reaching for sugary things day after day. So a few things are going on. First, the taste of sugar is addictive, and it gives you that dopamine hit in the brain. Second, every time you get a glucose spike, it messes with your hunger hormones, making you crave more food and feel hungrier for a few days. And third, if you have something like carrot cake sitting around, you're just more likely to eat it because it's right there. One tip that helps break the cycle is doing a big workout. For example, this weekend I was stuck in a loop, not necessarily craving sweets, but eating a lot of carbs like toast for breakfast and pasta for lunch. After a really intense workout, I didn't even want carbs or sugary foods anymore. I think it has to do with rebalancing your hormones and getting a dopamine boost from exercise, so you're not looking for that pleasure from sugar. When you're in a pattern where sugar is your main source of dopamine, it can become really addictive. You've got to find other things in your life that make you feel good. For me, that big workout gave me the dopamine hit I needed, and it helped shift my cravings away from sugar. Another tip is to start your day with a hearty breakfast. It's a game changer. If you start your day with enough protein, you'll stay full for about 4 hours. Which is much longer than people usually feel satisfied after eating something sweet. Even if you fast, the first meal you eat, whenever that is, should be hearty. When your digestive system is empty, whatever you eat gets absorbed super quickly, so starting with something hearty helps avoid those big glucose spikes. People shouldn't be eating sugar for breakfast, and here's why. The idea of a hearty breakfast comes from the understanding that when you start your day with a meal that causes a big glucose spike, it can negatively affect your body in multiple ways. First off, it can mess with your brain function, leading to brain fog and confusion throughout the day. It also makes you feel more tired and increases your cravings. Plus, it throws off your glucose levels for the entire day. Breakfast is really powerful. If it causes a glucose spike, your whole day becomes a roller coaster of highs and lows in blood sugar. So, the key is to have a hearty breakfast that keeps your glucose levels steady. A hearty breakfast is built around protein, things like eggs, fish, meat, tofu, nuts, dairy, protein powder, or even leftovers from dinner. It's super important to include protein in the morning. You can also add some healthy fats like olive oil, butter, or avocado. For a little extra flavor, you can throw in a bit of starch, like a piece of bread or some potatoes. The most important thing is that a hearty breakfast has no sugar, so no cereal, muffins, orange juice, granola, or fruit puree. And what about sugar in your coffee? Nope. If you want sugar, save it for dessert after lunch or dinner. At that point, you've already eaten a full meal, so adding sugar afterward won't impact your glucose levels as much. If you start your day with something sweet, you're setting yourself up for a glucose roller coaster. Here's how it works. After the initial glucose spike, your body releases insulin, which causes your blood sugar to drop. When your glucose levels get low, you feel super hungry and crave more sugar. Studies show that when glucose drops, the craving center in your brain kicks in, making it really hard to resist the urge to eat more sugar. So you reach for more sugar, get another spike, and the cycle repeats throughout the day. Does this roller coaster carry over into the next day? Not necessarily. Overnight, your glucose levels tend to reset. But it's still better to avoid that roller coaster altogether by starting your day with a steady, hearty breakfast. Let's talk about a few more tips that will help you hack your sugar intake. Vinegar can help keep blood sugar in check. You're like, vinegar? What? Well, the idea is simple. Drink 1 tablespoon of vinegar mixed in a big glass of water before your biggest meal of the day. The reason it's so effective is because it's incredibly easy to do and gives you a big payoff. Vinegar contains acetic acid, which interacts with your digestive enzymes and reduces the glucose spike from your meal by up to 30%, with hardly any effort. So if you're looking for a quick, low effort, though not the tastiest hack, to help with blood sugar, give this one a try. You'll likely experience a smaller spike, less of a crash, fewer cravings, and less fatigue. Wondering what kind of vinegar to use? Any vinegar will do. Just grab whatever you have in the kitchen. White vinegar, apple cider vinegar, it all works. Just make sure it's not one that has added sugar. The key is to dilute 1 tablespoon in a big glass of water and drink it about 10 minutes before your meal. The water is just there to protect your teeth because vinegar can be harsh on enamel. Your dentist won't be thrilled if you're taking shots of vinegar without diluting it. So we've covered prepping your stomach before a meal with tip number 2, but it's not just about lining your stomach, it's about interacting with your digestive enzymes. This leads us to the 3rd tip, which is all about veggie starters. Across different cultures around the world, there's a tradition of starting meals with vegetables. In Italy, it might be an antipasto. In France, they have crudités. And in the Middle East, they often begin with bunches of fresh herbs. Why do they do this? Well, scientists have recently figured out why it's so effective. It's all about fiber. We love fiber. It's the unsung hero. When you eat fiber at the start of a meal, it coats your intestines and creates a kind of protective barrier, almost like a fibrous mesh. This mesh slows down how fast the glucose from the rest of your meal gets absorbed into your bloodstream, which in turn reduces the glucose spike. If you're wearing a glucose monitor, try this little experiment. Have a small plate of veggies, like carrots, spinach, broccoli, or cherry tomatoes, before your meal and see how much smaller your glucose spike is. Plus, eating fiber first helps you stay fuller for longer, reduces cravings, and supports your body in managing blood sugar more efficiently. The 4th and final tip is about moving after eating. Basically, after you eat, use your muscles for about 10 minutes. You can tidy up your apartment, take your dog for a walk, dance to a couple of songs, or if you're at work, do some calf raises under your desk. Just push up onto the balls of your feet and back down, and no one will even notice. This works because your calves have a muscle called the soleus, which is great at soaking up glucose. Muscles are like glucose sponges. The more you use them, the more glucose they pull out of your bloodstream to use for energy. So, to sum up the 4 tips, have a hearty breakfast, drink vinegar once a day, start your meal with veggies, and move for 10 minutes after eating. You can even combine some of them, like having a vinegar dressing on your veggie starter. I hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, take control of sugar, don't let it control you. Put these amazing tips to the test.